Ok. Death Battle, gente. Korra versus Storm. Y por la votación veo las cosas muy niveladas. Muy niveladas. What the fuck. O sea, cuando básicamente va a ganar Storm porque es un personaje de cómic, gente. ¿Cómo lo tengo que decir? O sea, sí, Korra ganaría a Storm por 50 maneras, ¿no? A secas. No, ¿cómo lo explico? O sea, es en todo el sentido. Pero es un personaje de cómic. Significa que está mal hecho a secas. A secas, está. Ya sabemos. Y como estos tíos analizan los combates, pues solo mirad Mario vs Sonic, Alucard vs... Es que se queda además, Pero bueno, vamos a ver que la pelea esté entretenida visualmente y ya está. A ver.
By Blue Chew is a Avatar Korra, the master of all 4 elements. Storm, the X-Men's goddess of the storms. Weather. The building blocks of our natural world are nothing if not tempestuous and unpredictable. Which means you gotta be some kind of badass to control them. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick. And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Avatar Aang, savior of the world, uniter of 4 nations, destroyer of cabbages. But like all avatars,
ya, no, si Storm no controla los elementos, Storm los lanza. Korra los controla. Nah, pero bueno.
Her name was Korra.
Wiz, who is that? Did you leave the door open again? Deuces, gents. Unlike her carefree predecessor, the hot-headed, obstinate Korra was an Avatar prodigy from day one.
I'm the Avatar! You gotta deal with it!
While Aang struggled to accept his role in the world, Korra never wanted to be anything else. Not only is she an expert hand-to-hand fighter on her own, as a bender, Korra can manipulate the natural world around her through martial
arts. ¿Lo
ves? And as the
¿Has visto lo que ha hecho? Ha cogido el agua, la ha devuelto y la ha congelado en el aire.
Bend all 4 elements at once. Water, earth, fire, air. Not you. Straight from the Southern Water Tribe, Korra can control tendrils of water, form massive walls of ice, and generate huge tsunamis. Aang once raised the sea level to put out these huge fires. Looking at the size of the area and what did it take to submerge it, he had to move over 35 million metric tons of water. And since Korra is a reincarnation of Aang and every past Avatar.
No solo eso. Korra, nos guste o no nos guste, es más fuerte que Aang en todo. Ya desde el inicio, Korra era más talentosa. Pudo dominar los elementos, el control del ki, desde sin hacer ni mierdas. Y como técnicamente es la sucesora, los avatares funcionan así. El siguiente avatar cada vez es más fuerte, porque tiene los conocimientos del anterior. Es que gana, pero bueno, a ver qué mierda le ponen a Storm. Es que...
She should be just as powerful.
Más.
In earthbending, Korra can heave big-ass boulders around, shape and control metal, and even tear apart the ground beneath her enemy's feet. Kinda like when her Avatar ancestor Kyoshi broke off a chunk of a continent, dragged it across a bay, and basically just created a new island, named after herself. Queen shit. By measuring the size of the island to get its mass and the size of the bay to get the distance Kyoshi dragged it, displacing this much rock would require an energy over 21 gigatons of TNT. That's almost 15 times more energy than the entire world's nuclear arsenal detonating at the same time. With firebending, Korra can fire blasts of, well, fire, jet into the sky like a rocket, or breathe like a friggin' dragon. The perfect element to match Korra's hot-headed temper. However, her final element was completely different. Due to its inherently zen, free-flowing nature, Korra struggled at first to master airbending. But like all good prodigies, she figured it out anyways. With airbending, Korra can shoot powerful gusts of wind, fly around on tornadoes, and create a cute little air scooter. She used this element to defeat the bloodbender Amon, who was fast enough to dodge lightning. He's not the only one. Zuko and Iroh have caught
empezamos con... ¡Puede esquivar rayos! ¡No esquiva rayos! ¡Hostia puta! ¿Cómo hay que decirlo? ¡Putas páginas de mí! Es que, si yo tengo que... A ver. Si yo tengo que hacer esto para... No esquivo rayo, esquivo al subnormal que está haciendo esto. Y en el momento en el cual yo hago esto, sabe la persona que tengo que esquivar esto, no un rayo que viene de la nada. Dios, es que sois gilipollas. Y así en todas las peleas igual. Todas las putas peleas. ¡Tenete! ¡Raiding! ¡Estivar! Todas iguales, todas iguales.
Pyro even caught one from the sky. The leader of a lightning bolt moves at 60,000 meters per second. Comparing the distance Amon moved relative to the bolt, he must have been moving over 200 times the speed of sound.
But Korra's more than just a badass martial arts superhero. She also acts as the bridge between the mortal and spirit worlds.
The spirit world is a separate plane of reality, and Korra is stronger while she's physically there. Her direct connection isn't coincidence. She and every avatar before her are fused with the spirit of light, Rava. Every time the avatar dies and reincarnates, Rava searches out the spirit to bond with their new body, a staple of Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. I've done a lot of research into reincarnation, which I'll demonstrate today with Boomstick and this anvil.
Wait, what?
Now, the avatar is usually reborn into a different nation, but I've set this up so Boomstick will reincarnate into the nearest vessel, this identical clone body.
Hey, Wiz, I feel funny.
Why are there two of me?
Where'd my banana go?
Cut off
¿Por
his
qué
leg
ponen
and
Scooby-Doo?
Speaking of messing with your soul, Korra can remove or restore your bending, bring her past lives for advice, and tap into the kick-ass avatar state.
The avatar state massively boosts Korra's raw bending power, turning her into effectively a demigod and the de facto most powerful being on the planet, if she wasn't already.
Despite that, Korra's no stranger to failure. She was severed from her connection
Porque
to
eres
the past
estúpida.
avatars and was almost killed while in the avatar state,
Porque
which would
eres
have ended
estúpida.
her cycle of reincarnation entirely.
That last brush with death left her physically and emotionally
Ahí me he
crippled
quedado.
for years.
Toca,
Even
toca.
after physical therapy, her fiery spirit struggled to reignite.
Korra's entire identity was wrapped up in being the Avatar, all the way from day one.
And the biggest trials she had to face were when her place in the world was challenged. Would everyone be better off without an avatar, or bending at all?
But Korra's nothing if not one hell of a fighter. No matter what life threw at her, she always got back up to kick ass.
Korra once blocked an energy blast from a giant spirit cannon, which created this massive crater in the center of Republic City, and almost killed everyone.
Taking a look at the width and depth of this crater and
There it
assuming it
is.
was all vaporized, Korra must have held back a blast worth almost 6 megatons of TNT.
Claro, porque el TNT desintegra, ¿verdad? ¿Verdad? Aquí sí. Aquí las explosiones desintegran, no explotan. Es muy diferente. Desintegrar algo requiere mucha más potencia. Desintegrar algo, transformar la cosa en vapor, que hacer una explosión. Y tengo que explicar eso, es muy complicado, pero es básicamente un rayo fucking láser que atraviesa algo es mucho más poderoso que una explosión. Que un momento de dinamita.
More queen shit.
And during harmonic convergence, Korra tapped into enough spirit energy to turn into a giant kaiju and battle the dark avatar Unalaq for the fate of the world.
Wiz, I told you, we don't talk about season 2. Okay, 1 was cool.
From taking down anarchist revolutionaries to fascist empires, Korra proved herself as an avatar worthy of her forebearers.
With her teammates Mako and Bolin, teachers like Tenzin and Toph, and badass girlfriend Asami by her side, there was nothing she couldn't do.
Queen shit?
Queen shit.
Come on, little girl. Give me your best shot.
Uf.
Chump.
Storm, venga,
Boomstick,
potenciala.
do you know what happens to a person who's struck by lightning?
The same thing that happens to everything else?
You got it.
Do you know what happens to white-haired mutants whose parents are killed by a plane crash? They become badass weather witches.
After Aurora Monroe's parents were that, she was forced to fend for herself on the streets of Cairo, under the tutelage of Ahmed El-Jabbar.
The life of a street rat wasn't doing it for Aurora, so she took off across the Sahara in search of a real home.
And that's when she began to master her mutant powers. In the same way that Homo sapiens, humans, evolved from earlier hominids like Homo erectus. Go ahead. Homo superior, or mutants, are an offshoot of regular humans. They possess the X gene on their 23rd chromosome that effectively grants them superpowers.
But it's a lottery. You could end up like old Beak here.
Or you could end up like Aurora and possess complete control over the weather itself, while being super hot unlike Beak.
No.
For all she knew, she was a goddess sent straight from heaven. And that's exactly what the local tribes thought when she arrived in her ancestral Kenyan homeland.
Aurora's mutant gene allows her to psionically manipulate the atmosphere, capable of summoning a hurricane with less than a conscious thought.
When she does feel like using conscious thoughts, something Wiz tells me I struggle with, Aurora can create storms that cover the entire Earth.
Her weather manipulation isn't just powerful, but precise. She can call upon massive tidal waves, conceal herself in fog, and even generate localized blizzards cold enough to freeze lava.
She can summon bolts of lightning, even ones that are continents away, or generate electricity inside your brain. And she once zapped Cyclops with enough lightning to restart an artificial sun called the Ring of Fire, a name that reminds me of the morning after Taco Tuesday.
Encircling the planet Polemarchus, the Ring of Fire provided all the same energy as a regular star.
But her favorite element
Ya
is
ganado.
probably wind. With it, she can blow people away with tornadoes, suck the air out of a person's lungs, and generate enough lift to fly.
Yo también lo puedo
She
hacer.
once flew fast enough to reach the edge of Earth's atmosphere from ground level in just a few seconds.
By measuring the angle and size of the Earth to get the distance and estimating a time frame of about 5 seconds, Aurora had to have flown at 4,000 times the speed of
Ya
sound.
está.
She can even manipulate solar winds to fly through space. Unlike winds on Earth, which are just the movement of air molecules through the atmosphere, solar winds are streams of charged particles, mostly electrons and protons, ejected from the sun.
Almost as crazy as how she can breathe in the vacuum of space. She creates a mini atmosphere around herself by gathering, stray hydrogen atoms. Atoms, those are like really small last time I checked. Are these writers just giving her whatever powers they want now?
Exactamente.
How is that weather?
Aurora's abilities apply to
Exactamente.
any
Es un personaje de
atmospheric
cómic.
conditions,
Poderes
whether they be in
que
outer
quiera.
space or alternate
Porque somos una puta
dimensions.
subnormalidad.
Essentially, anything even remotely considered weather.
Man, I wish I had crazy writers giving me random superpowers just because it's funny. That'd be awesome. Well, anyways, I'm gonna go use my rocket hands I've always had to get my beer out the fridge. Away!
Perhaps her most useful ability, though, is to sense changes in the weather with a pseudo-sixth sense. Aurora literally sees atmospheric patterns and energy as colors. with
Tiene
the
ultra
world
instinto
as
también,
her
¿por qué no?
canvas.
She's so good with it, she could track a jet flying over New York while she was fighting the Shadow King in Wakanda. That's on the other side of the planet. Yeah, no wonder everyone thought she was a goddess. She is.
Aurora enjoyed all the worship and admiration until the day she was contacted by
¿Os
an
fijáis también cómo
American
van a decir que es una diosa, una diosa, una diosa? Lo que han hecho con Korra es decir que es casi una demidiosa. Por favor.
Charles Xavier with an interesting proposal.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Join the X-Men. Oh, pretty please. They were eaten by this living eyelid. It's a long story, but we're short-staffed.
Xavier founded the X-Men as a team of mutant superheroes that would attempt to mend race relations between Homo sapien and Superior through non-violent means.
Because what better way to teach kids in the 60s about the civil rights movement than with a bunch of good-looking lily-white teenagers with superpowers from upstate New York?
Feeling she had spent enough time blessing the rains down in Africa, Aurora agreed and was assigned the codename Storm.
And she more than earned the spot. She's proven herself worthy to wield Mjolnir, led a war against
También,
the
¿por qué
Inhumans,
no?
and even survived a blast from her own lightning.
This is impressive considering her lightning is powerful enough to match Polaris, who once used her powers to punch through Earth's crust all the way to the planet's core. Assuming she pulverized the cylinder of Earth all the way down,
También
she had
aguanta
exerted
más que
over
Korra,
15
porque aguanta un
teratoms of
rayo,
TNT.
sí.
She once beat the mutant Callisto in unarmed
Bueno, ha visto que
combat,
la superan
and
todos los
Callisto
apartes que ha puesto, ¿no?
apparently mastered every single martial art known to man.
Despite her unbelievable power, Storm has trained extensively in hand-to-hand combat. Get it? It also probably didn't hurt that she's fast enough to dodge literal beams of light. Oh, but did you get it though?
Nope. And after kicking Callisto's ass, she became the queen of these sewer-dwelling mutants called the Morlocks. She really just couldn't
Morlocks?
escape being worshipped, could she? Even by grody underground monster people.
Well, she later married the Black Panther T'Challa and became Queen of Wakanda too, so she really runs the gamut.
But even demigods have their Achilles heels. That plane crash from her childhood left her crushed under rubble for days, giving her a bad case of claustrophobia that rears its ugly head every once in a while.
But that's not enough to stop this queen. After the departure of Scott Summers, Storm became the leader of the X-Men, because of course she did.
And when Geordie LaForge eventually came crawling back, the two fought over who would lead the team.
Despite Scott literally being able to shoot death lasers from his eyes, Storm kicked his ass. And even better, she didn't even have her powers at the time.
As it should be, because there's no one more devoted to her team than Storm is. She may be an Omega-level mutant, but her greatest superpower is her bottomless compassion.
Mess with her team and you'll watch as Aurora's heart of gold quickly turns to ice, as she quite literally steals your breath away.
Testing me, It's time you remembered why they call me Storm.
All right, the combatants are set and we run the data through all possibilities.
But
Pero
first,
antes
if
la
you're dealing with the
promo.
emotional weight of leading the X-Men or maintaining the balance of the elements, or, you know, normal stuff because it's 2021 and everything's on fire, check out BetterHelp.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Going to therapy doesn't...
Venga. Vas con... Estoy en así que...
I'm so bored.
¿Hank?
Your powers are impressive, but you lack discipline.
Yeah.
I'm the Avatar, master of all elements. You want to see for yourself?
Of course, Avatar. I'll show you what an X-Men can do.
La música mola.
Water, lightning, and airbending? Starting to feel a little less special here.
Metal no puedo. ¡Oh! Vale, está en el modo espiritual. Corrígeme si no me equivoco, pero aquí no puede tomar poder. Ya has perdido. ¿Sonic? En el mundo espiritual y donde estás ahí en el limbo, ya has perdido. Tal cual, has perdido. Está en el limbo. Ya no puede. Y aquí no tiene poderes. Oh, vale. ¿Cómo no?
You're no bender.
¡Woo! Tienen poderes, siempre en forma espiritual. Ah, vale, cierto, perdón, me equivoqué. Claro, en forma espiritual no tienen poderes, pero sienten con la forma básica. Claro, vale. Tiene razón, ¡referencia! ¡Otro! ¡Otro! ¡Otro!
I know what you are, Spirit of Storms.
Exactly.
¡Wow!
You fought nobly, Avatar.
La pelea está bien. La pelea está guapa. Mira.
Shit myself. This fight wasn't totally straightforward.
Que
Korra
no
can
dice.
dominate most fighters pretty easy with her raw bending power and martial arts skills, especially with the Avatar state. Not even some of the best benders on the planet like Zahir and Kuvira could stand up to her at her best.
However, despite Korra's awesome Avatar powers, she found herself outmatched by Storm's skill, precision, and overwhelming force. For instance, Storm's massively hypersonic flight and ability to sense and control weather across the planet meant she could always fight safely from a distance.
Korra's trained in martial arts from birth, but even if she did manage to get in close and fight hand to hand, Storm's experience with the X-Men and defeating Callisto meant she could keep up.
While Korra may have fought people who can dodge lightning, Storm can dodge literal beams of light. Even just using her flight speed exiting the atmosphere, she'd still be nearly 20 times faster than Korra.
Korra did have access to elements like fire and earth that Storm didn't. If she somehow found out about Storm's claustrophobia, she could theoretically trap her in some rocks to exploit it.
But Storm would be more than powerful enough to just break out. Her lightning was strong enough to match Polaris, who punched a hole in the earth all the way down to its core.
Yeah, ultimately, Storm was just way more powerful. Remember that planet-sized storm she created?
Paralizó a un personaje que pegó un puñetazo hasta el centro de la Tierra. Quizá el personaje era débil al electro, o técnicamente como es un rayo y su cuerpo no es tan resistente, porque claro, como derribó a eso, pero también le dio un rayo, técnicamente tiene que ser en igualdad de poderes, ¿verdad? ¡Death Battle!
Well, I know clouds are lighter than air, but those are a shit ton of clouds and need a lot of work to move around.
By measuring their volume and the speed at which they moved, the energy Storm needed for this would be over 500 exatons of TNT, about 250 times more powerful than what Korra could output.
And considering this is the same woman who was powerful enough to reignite an artificial star, results like that aren't outliers.
Even taking the fight to the spirit world wouldn't have helped, considering Storm has manipulated alien weather from outer space and alternate dimensions. She'd have no problem adapting there, and considering Storm's powers are genetic in nature, not spiritual, Korra would not be able to depower her with energy bending.
And none of that is counting the ways Storm could have ended the fight right off the bat, like sucking the air right out of Korra's lungs or generating a lightning storm in her brain.
Korra was a tenacious, unrelenting opponent, but Storm's massive range, precise control, deadly skill, and unbelievable power won her this fight.
Don't get bent out of shape. Korra just couldn't weather the storm.
The winner is Storm.
Wow, surprise, surprise.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you want even more action, you should check out the new season of Genlock on HBO Max, starring Michael B. Jordan, Dakota Fanning, and David Tennant in a fast-paced animated series inspired by mecha anime.
What? ¿Contra? Oh, 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 oh. ¡Oh! Por fin una pelea de anime, coño. Ni mierda, interesante. Gana Aizen. Gana Aizen. Gana Aizen. Ah, gana Aizen, sí, gana Aizen. Por una sencilla razón, regeneración. Básicamente, Aizen pudo sobrevivir a ser desintegrado. Hasta solo esa carta de regeneración está muy rota. Así que Aizen ganaría. Sí, a secas. Aizen gana por regeneración. Ya en poder bruto, creo que Madara es más fuerte. Lo que es, ya, claro, en poder. Pero solo por la habilidad de regeneración de puto Aizen. Que literalmente puedes desintegrarlo y el capullo se regenera. Y aparte, tiene Senkais, ¿vale? Tiene cada vez que... Por la mierda de piedra. Cada vez que se medio muere, va evolucionando. Aunque claro, si Madara le medio mata, entonces lo sella, pues quizá ahí. Claro, se dé cuenta. Bueno, es que claro, Madara tiene muchísimas habilidades. Aizen también tiene hechizos. Es una pelea interesante, es una pelea muy interesante. Es una pelea muy interesante. Aunque me va a decir que va a hacer que gane Madara. ¿Por qué? Porque es una Death Battle. Va a decir, Madara pudo con los 5 Kages, que un día Tsunade se tiró un pedo y destruyó una montaña, mientras que Aizen no tiene mucha valoración de poder, y ya sabéis cómo van estas Death Battles. Es, TNTs, esquivar rayos, no, somos gilipollas. Pero siendo lógico, creo que... no sé. Bueno, pondré una votación, la verdad. A ver. Ay, a veces con los genjutsus, qué pesados sois, hostia puta. La espada de Aizen, ¿vale? El genjutsu de Aizen no funciona si no lo han enseñado. Así que Madara sería como Ichigo, no podría usar su Zanpakuto. Así que dejad de ver de genjutsus. Nada, like, no.